Hello, this is Perry Mink. This is Wednesday, April 17th, 2019, and I'm updating about the situation that I'm in and also expanding on how the U.S. Contra Costa County community Catholic influence has affected my case and the community here, because so many people are influenced by it. As I mentioned in my previous video, that it's a secret society, and so your average person doesn't realize that they're being influenced by it. It does have an influence in other parts of the United States, and one issue that prompted me to create this video today is because one of the references in my not my patch article, but my part 5 article, Despotic Legal System Commits Cruelty to the Core of Humanity, I talk about in the section about how Catholics influence us and how it affects our society, and I will look at that right now on here, and I cited it towards the bottom of my part 5 article under Cruel Catholic Vengeance Rampage is a Pattern. And about midway through that section, I talk about how and I'm going to mention this particular group. This is from their download videos that they create regularly. It's like an open forum conversation that they have with each other by the church Militant. And I talked about how they were mocking, even with their facial expressions, the Puritans, and their article or their video was called Too Popish for Puritans, and that was aired on December 28th, 2018. It's their YouTube video, and that can be that's linked through my part 5 article on my website. And so today I was watching the Vortex, and I was surprised again that the subject that the founder of the church Militant, Michael Voris, speaks about, the title is called The Truth of the Church. And he's talking about how the Catholic faith is directly from Jesus, and that the reformers such as Martin Luther and John Calvin are people that are dead, and that's not the teaching of Jesus, and then brings in Buddhism, and Buddhist is dead. Well, if you listen to the video, he never mentions Constantine. Now, they didn't name, when Constantine, who is the Roman emperor, converted to Christianity, which they called Christo, they didn't call it Constantinism or used his name. The name became a universal term for the concept of converting people all over, which is similar to the Roman belief system. And that's why the Romans were rampaging through the societies and the communities and areas of Europe, and then killing them off and, just taking their property and then just taking over the land. And so how does that concept affect us today here in the United States? And my case is proof that it's affected me, because I proved that the Catholics in the court system here just took my property away, didn't care one bit about my life or my livelihood or my home, my money, my property, which happens to be my animals too. That's the law I mentioned before. Whether you like it or not, our animals are our property. I wanted to expand on what this information on this video that came out today uh, is incorrect and needs to be expanded on. And this is the way that the Catholics are expressing their denomination, their religion. I call it cult, sex and hate cult, because it instills in their followers to think this way and then disregard, disrespect, and even go as far as getting rid of, banishing, terrorizing, torturing, harassing people who are not calling themselves Catholic. And that's what's so dangerous about it. And if you study anthropology and the history of religion and the history of Christianity, you're going to find that there are people in this world who are practicing a religion that the basis of it is there are morals that they teach for humans, because the human spirit is that you will speak up if somebody attacks you. You will, your expression on your face, your arm movements, your stance. You could run for the hills because somebody just invaded your space. And so throughout time, we're talking since humans have been here, people, to coexist and to live together, they form guidelines. And so in order to live, you have to work together to gather food, to help supply nutrition for each other so that you could live. You need to protect your body. So you're going to help one another to create a safe place for you to protect yourself from the elements, from natural elements like weather and people that may want to harm you. And so all through the world, different groups of people have, just out of the nature of the human spirit, must create a form of guidelines to coexist and survive and live. And then when you talk about these other aspects about our afterlife and beliefs about our connections with our dead family members, and I could talk about a lot of different aspects of the human spirit even after we pass away. And that's how religions were formed. And so to just say that one religion has to take over this whole world and obliterate all these other people, if you decide that you're not going to be in that group, and then that other group is going to say, hey, they don't want to convert to our religion. We're going to attack them and obliterate them so that they don't exist anymore. And that's just wrong. That's just wrong. And that's not what Jesus was teaching, believe it or not. If you read the New Testament very carefully, Jesus is not telling people to go out into the world and force people to convert to his belief system. That's not what he's teaching. He's not saying, if they don't convert to me, then you need to obliterate them off the face of the earth. No. What the message is Jesus' teachings is peace. And that by learning the way of Jesus, you can attain that peace within yourself, which then brings peace amongst others. And then if somebody converts, it's between that person and God, and that relationship that they would build through their strength with Jesus. That's the message in the New Testament. It's not about forcing people and intimidating them and lying about them and mocking them and making fun of people because they don't believe in the way of Jesus. And that's what's so dangerous about Catholics expressing to others, whether you're an individual and you're doing it in the workplace, or you're doing it in the church even, or you're doing it on social media and your viewers are watching this, and that's the message that they're getting from somebody who's representing that they are Catholic. So I did a little research prior to creating this video, because there were some things I didn't know about specifically about Calvinism and Lutheran and Catholics based on what this video. I'll put it down in the comment, the vortex, the truth of the church. And it turns out, because Michael Voris says something about that John Calvin and Martin Luther and Buddha is dead, and that their teachings are based on what they founded, and that's not related to Jesus. But if you look at the history behind Martin Luther and behind John Calvin, I'm going to focus on those two right now, is both of them broke away from the Catholic Church. And their focus was on the scripture, and that they wanted to spread the word, if you will, what the truth is about the scripture from the Hebrew Bible, and that up to that point, it was during the 1500s that Calvin came along, and the word Calvinism, from what I looked up, other people were calling it Calvinism, but he wanted to call it something else. But it's really Protestantism, and both of them were against what the Catholic Church was teaching, which was the corruption behind it, that they were to follow the Pope. And Calvin and Lutheran were trying to focus on the scripture, and that the Roman Catholic Church was misleading the information that was in the Bible. And Michael Voris also talks about how the Catholic Church is from the way, and if I decided to look for this, I thought I packed it and took it back to storage, but this is the New American Bible, and this is the, if you could see right here, let's see if I could do this. Let's see, is it Catholic Book Publishing Company. And this was given to me, and I've had other people give me Bibles because when they meet me and we discuss the Bible and they notice my interaction with them, they can tell that I'm doing, the best that I can to what we call walk with the Lord, or a closer walk with Jesus. And so they share their Bible with me, and I receive it with graciousness. And this Bible was given to me from a Catholic, and I looked into it, and it was, they created this one in the 1970s. And so for anybody to say that the Catholics aren't, I call it reinventing themselves because of the issues with the sex motives, the sex and hate cult aspect of it. Let's see, what did I, excuse me, just a minute. And because the teachings that come through in their secret society are not based on the way of Jesus. And it's a much more aggressive, very terroristic method of either trying to get rid of somebody who's not a Catholic, or they are snapping because you question something about their behavior, which was either abusive, immoral, aggressive, illegal, questionable, and then they snap, and then from there, they just won't stop. It's aggression the whole way until, they will ruin you. They'll fire you from your job. And then another Catholic, I mentioned this before, you go to complain about it, and a Catholic will be in the position to make a decision about your complaint, and they're just going to side with the other Catholic because they believe, they practice, they encourage that the Catholic teachings are I just noticed that that the camera timer stopped, and then it jumped about 10 seconds or something like that. So what I was saying is that the Catholic teaching is such that they will obliterate you. They will snap, and then nonstop will continue to fire you from your job, or in my case with the civil case, will just keep trying to get rid of me at any means. And this is from their own laws from the Holy See. And I explain that in a way where they will create a situation directed at you, knowing that you're going to respond. That's what humans do. That's the human spirit. And the response is going to be in defense of yourself, because you're either going to lose your livelihood, or they're intimidating you, they're threatening you, they're, trying to make you, I guess it's a form of trying to make you convert to Catholicism. And so by responding, which they know they're going to get in their, I guess that it's such a conditioning process that they learn as children that in their adult life, it's just, they're going through the motions of it. And so anything that you say is not going to hinder them in any way to create a positive environment or neutral environment even. And so they're waiting to get that rise out of their target. And then they can justify in their mind why they're calling you names, or why they're mocking you, or why they're getting rid of you. That in their teachings, that's what it's about. It's justifying why they can lie, and it's based on the Catholic Holy See, their own laws, which are not based on the way of Jesus. And so I'm speaking about this because going to the legal system and having Catholic judges discriminate against me on many different aspects, such as my gender. I'm a female. I'm not going to turn into a lesbian because somebody wants me to, or because a religion wants me to. I'm a female, and I am to be acknowledged as a female. They were discriminating against me because I was protecting myself, because I was representing myself, which is my right. And I cited the laws that would explain that the judge is not supposed to discriminate against the litigant for any religious beliefs, their gender, their sexual orientation, their employment. There's a whole list, and the judge ignored it. And that's something that is a Catholic MO, ignore. And it almost comes across, after a while, it comes across like, and I've been saying this lately because it finally clicked, it's like saying no speaky English. And it's so disturbing because I have rights. In this country, we have rights. This is a democratic society. Again, I'm not talking about the party, the political party. I'm talking about the country, the United States. The laws are based on democracy, that we have rights, that individuals have rights, that we have property rights, we have health rights, we have work rights. That's how the laws are written. The Catholics hijacked the legal system, and I suppose the Consumer Protection Agency, and they don't protect. And so I'm speaking against any organization, any group that would discourage people from coexisting peacefully. The United States was based on the idea of different religious groups coexisting peacefully, and not based on the Holy See. It was based on being able to coexist with other religious groups. And from what I understand today, still today, that is the truth. That's the law. And in the news, and I just recently posted on my Facebook that in the news, the mainstream news, they do report on different fraud schemes and terrorist acts that have been perpetrated here in the United States. Whether it's Jewish people, such as the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme, where many people were targeted and lost their life savings, and even people from other countries were targeted. They have in the news reported on this Romani gypsies perpetrating fraud schemes, and that comes across very similar to how the certain women in the government have been trying to stop me from justice because they're encouraging this behavior where the medical professional pretends that they care about the client and the patient, knowing that the client and the patient are dependent on the doctor. And throughout times, patients and clients are very trusting of the doctors and the medical professionals because it's considered an intimate type of relationship because they know about private information about your health, things that you may not even discuss with a family member. You wouldn't go to work and go, hey, guess what? I have a urinary tract infection. Okay, that's my sense of humor, but do you understand what I'm saying? So the certain women will and encourage to pretend that they care, that their voice even will come across that way. Actually, they are plotting, unbeknownst to their targets, the client, the patient, they are unaware. Because in the United States, in California, here in Contra Costa County, in the San Francisco Bay Area, the law is written that the doctor is to adhere to the guidelines that have been set out and that they abide by from the government, who is paid for by taxes through government regulatory agencies to protect clients and patients. So somewhere along the line, the women decided to perpetrate this. It's similar to a Ponzi scheme even, because when you talk about the money that the doctor and the medical staff would get from this, what they would gain is huge amounts of money for unnecessary services. And on top of that, the patient and the client is being harmed. So they've been perpetrating this facade, this very wicked, diabolical facade, where they pretend that they care about the patient and the client, knowing that they're in an intimate professional relationship, but they actually are plotting to cause great bodily harm to further services, to get more money, to benefit for themselves. They're getting more experience. They're running their own studies, if you will. They're doing this, perpetrating this on us. And that's why I'm fighting, because civilly, I've been fighting civilly the whole time because it's illegal. It's cruel and inhumane. It's cruel to the core of humanity. And Elvira, my beloved pug, could not speak for herself. And so I'm the client, and I have to defend myself and my beloved family member. And their scheme is so wicked. And as I mentioned in some of my patch articles and my part 5 article, the cruel Catholic MO has terms and phrases and words that aren't the actual definitions of what they really mean. So, for example, in one of my articles, I gave an example of the word respect. They think that respect, because they've been so conditioned to think that respect means that you simply put on a certain type of voice but you are actually going to not provide services, or you are going to do something that is not appropriate or could be all the way to illegal. And the end result is harmful to the target, to the customer, to the client, to the patient. And that's not respect. Respect is you have a starting point and you follow through all the way to the completed work. And that respect is care. It's not degradation, it's not defrauding, it's not harmful, it's not corrupt, it's not organized, and so on. And I am explaining this because they've done this so many times to me in their efforts to continue to intimidate me and thwart me and lie about me and slander me and banish me and obliterate me, because I'm fighting for my life, for my beloved fuzzy family member, and for other people's pets that were victimized at Encina Veterinary Clinic Incorporated et al. But this comes from these groups, these religious groups that are practicing this sex and hate cult, excuse me, and they're actually influencing and contaminating other people to go along with what they are doing. And it is so influential. You know, you could be influenced by it in such a way because it can be threatening, and if you want to keep your job, some people would then join in, and that's just illegal. And this was going on during the entire Obama administration, and they knew it. They knew that they were perpetrating this on Americans. And the secret aspect of it, though, about the secret demonic sexualizing and this lesbian force that really is coming from the Novus Ordo, and I suppose a lot of people didn't know it. I certainly didn't know it, but I sensed that the women here, while I was in the civil case, the lesbian would attack, if you will, degrade a heterosexual female. And I mentioned that to one of my senior clients, and she didn't really grasp that either. But we informed each other about information that both sides weren't really familiar with. She was raised Catholic and was just traumatized by her experience with it and grew up to not be a part of the Catholic Church. She was in her late 70s, and so that experience was before Novus Ordo. And so that's why I'm speaking about this, because the traditional Catholics today are criticizing the Novus Ordo Catholics which are the liberal Catholics, the communist Catholics, I call it the commie-Nazi mafia Catholic, but really it's prior to that even, because my mother had experienced that when she was forced to a Catholic boarding school in the late 30s, early 40s. So, and that Catholic school came from a nun order from France. And it kind of clicked because my mom told me that she thought that, she learned a little bit of French. And so that kind of clicked. Oh, okay, now I see they might have been encouraging them to learn the French language. But I want to emphasize that the Catholic teachings stem all the way back from their inception, because they transferred over from the Romans, and the Romans have always been very aggressive, going on rampages and taking over different communities, areas, and even countries. And that's what's so scary about it, because in the United States, we have laws to protect the United States and its citizens against a religious group taking over this country, that it's illegal to terrorize US citizens. And that's really the message that I want to help people understand, because traditional Catholics are also practicing Romanism. And to hear of such an influential traditional Catholic such as Michael Boris communicate to thousands of people about what the traditional Catholics are about and what Catholicism is incorrect. And I wanted to mention that about Christianity, I looked it up, that there are 10, let me look at this right now because I can't remember exactly the amount of people per religion or identify with certain religions. So in the world, and this article is from worldatlas.com, and I'm trying to find out what the date is that this was. It's from September 10th, 2018. And so it's called The Largest Religions in the World. And it starts off number 10, and I'll just quickly go through these. I haven't heard of all these religions and didn't know that they had different names. So I'll just go down the list and the amount of followers. And excuse me if I'm not pronouncing these names correctly. So I'll spell the first one, CAODAI, and there's 4.4 million followers. Number 9 is called, well, I'll spell it, MUISM, also SINISM, and also known as SHINGYO, and there's 10 million followers. The number 8 is Taoism, which is also referred to as Taoism. I'm not really sure if I'm pronouncing that word correctly. And there's 10 million followers. Judaism, 14 million followers. Sikhism, 25 million followers. Shintoism, 104 million followers. That's the religion that my mom practiced. Buddhism, 500 million followers. Hinduism, 1.1 billion followers. Islam, 1.8 billion followers. And number one is Christianity, 2.3 billion followers. And that includes Catholics. And that's what's upsetting me, because Catholics are actually Romans. And so I looked again at the different Christian denominations, because once you go into the different Christian denominations, there's like over 4,000 different Christian denominations. So the Catholic Church includes 1.285 billion, and this is from Wikipedia. And Protestantism is 920 million. Anglicanism, which falls under Protestantism, is 85 million. Eastern Orthodox Church is 270 million. Oriental Orthodoxy, 80 million. Non-Trinitarian Restorationism, 35 million. Independent Catholicism, 18 million. That interested me because I've never heard of independent Catholicism. And then minor branches, and I didn't look at that, and that's 3 million. So when you go to this independent Catholicism, it's a different churches that are from Catholicism, but they are independent of let's see, it says a list of independent Catholic denominations which identify themselves as being within Old Catholicism or other independent Catholic traditions originating in Europe, having split from the Catholic Church in the 1870s. So I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that. So it's a very complex subject, and religion in itself. Just the fact that Catholicism doesn't just fall under traditional Catholics and Novus Ordo Catholics and just the Pope. I know that a lot of Catholics believe in you just follow the Pope. And so that goes against U.S. laws, because we're under U.S. laws. We're not under the Pope. We're not under the Holy See. So when you talk about a traditional Catholic in the government, they would be influenced by the Pope, and that's illegal. Now, these independent Catholics are they somehow connected to the Pope, but not really, I don't know. But these are the different independent Catholic churches. Philippine Independent Church, 6 million. Chinese Patriotic Catholic Association, 5 million. And we hear lately in China that they're not allowing certain Catholics to practice in China. I don't know which ones are allowed to or not. Brazilian Catholic Apostolic Church, 5 million. Traditionalist Mexican American Catholic Church, 2 million. Old Catholic Church, 0.1 million. Polish National Catholic Church, 0.025 million. Apostolic Catholic Church, 0.005 million. Palmarian Catholic Church, 0.001 million. So you see, there's a lot more to Catholicism. I just learned that today about the independent Catholics. In the minor branches, they are speaking about Reformed Orthodoxy and the Church of the East, Assyrian Church of the East, Ancient Church of the East, Messianic Judaism, and Unification Movement. And each of those is in the millions. So you could see how disturbing it would be right here in my own community if the Catholics, whether they're Republican or Democrat, would target me, a Christian, practicing the way of Jesus, the Prince of Peace doctrine, would be obliterating me, torturing me, terrorizing me because I'm not a Catholic, or because I don't look white enough. I'm not a white enough Catholic. I'm not a Catholic. I don't want to be a Catholic. yet they will not respect that. So that's my message today, and I want as many people to talk about this because many people think that you shouldn't talk about religion. We should talk about religion from a factual standpoint, and we should discuss, have an open dialogue about coexisting peacefully, and that's the true message, and that really is what Jesus' message is, that it's between you and God through Jesus and the Holy Spirit, whether you become a follower of the way of Jesus. Jesus never taught to mock, lie, slander, torture, intimidate, terrorize, obliterate other people. Never. It is not in his teachings at all. It's the complete opposite. So thank you very much for listening. I still have not received a letter from the Contra Costa County Housing Authority that I passed the recertification inspection. And so I suppose I will keep demanding, that's my focus, that I be returned to my sanctuary home that I paid for with my own money, and that all the slandering that they've been doing about me behind my back, about this, making me into Mary Magdalene, the prostitute, and Eve as the one who tempted, Eve being representing all women, tempted Adam into sexual deviance, is just absurd. That is not the message. It is about us being responsible about our behaviors. It is about being having a behavior that is considerate and responsible and respectful towards other people. And that is what Jesus' message is about. And that Catholics have branched off from Catholicism. They've been raised in the Catholic Church, out of anger have branched away from the Catholic Church and studied Buddhism. I met the lady, I talked about this woman that was the facilitator for the NAMI Writers Group, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And I was part of the writers group as an attendee participant. And that group was I don't want to say advertised, but it was presented as a support group. And they inflicted on us in that group something that was actually directed at me to harm us, the participants, where the facilitator was being cruel to us writers. And I complained to the president of NAMI here, NAMI Contra Costa County, and I also contacted the Contra Costa County Empowerment group, or I can't remember the full name, but they're the government entity that works with the NAMI group and also with the Contra Costa County Behavioral Health Court program, which they forced me into, and they were mocking me. And then the facilitator called it fun, and that's not fun. That's a cruel Catholic MO. We are not in the support groups and in these workplaces and in the going shopping in the stores and in the government as perpetrating cruel and inhumane treatment and calling it fun. That's another cruel Catholic MO that I've written about in my part my patch articles and my Part 5 article. So thank you very much, and please keep demanding that a live news conference or some kind of public news press release, a progress report, something where the public can understand how dangerous this group of women through the government system is harming unsuspecting females and clients and patients and animals, and wanting others to support that type of wicked, cruel endeavor. Totally illegal, completely illegal. It falls under organized crime. All right, thank you very much. And I will keep you posted, and I will keep posting on Facebook as well. All right, thank you again. Signing off for now.